Yes, how are we doing?
Hello, people. Hope
Yes,
everyone's well.
we're back. We are back. Hi to Katie, childrensmatter.news. And I do apologise. I've got the remnants of a rocky biscuit floating around my mouth. Sorry, snack time. I had 30 seconds and I can't chew fast enough. But we're back. If anyone remembers, a couple of weeks ago, Sharon and I got together. We decided to talk about a particular incident on May the 19th, 2018. And there's much more to talk about in so many different directions with it. So we're going to kind of carry that on and hopefully engage with a few people while we're going on as well. But firstly, I've got to say, Sharon, how are you doing?
I'm very well, thank you. Yeah,
You had a rocky weekend. Have you been shaking it again or what?
No, nice and chilled this weekend. Yes, taking it easy. Can't do too much at my age, though.
We've gone from one place to the other last week.
I know.
Never too young, mate. All the energy in the world.
Oh,
Practically putting
I'm only joking about the age. It's just a number, isn't it? It's a state of mind.
Of course it is. Of course it is. It's always a state of mind, and positive and negative as well. Never mind the age. You know what I mean? And this is probably one of the things why we're talking about. One of the reasons why we're bringing this up, because citizens.
And I just sorry.
No, go for it, Sharon. Go for it.
I was just going to say, to tie us into catching up from the 2 weeks previously, if I tell you what happened today, the phone call that I got, it just ties in with it being about Greater Manchester Police. And since then, since I won my case, I've had a couple of people contact me. The one I spoke about last week, she's got a case against the police. She's put me in contact with another woman who's got a case against the police, and her story is mentioned with the details changed in Greater Manchester Evening News have done an article on it called "How Do You Fix a Problem Like Greater Manchester Police?" And her story is featured because they mishandled her case and they lost the evidence and ruined her chances of getting any justice. So she's got a case against them. And I think more and more people are coming out of the woodwork now. And I hope that me speaking about that and being and these ladies getting in touch with me, lovely ladies and very strong, you know, they're going to fight this and they're going to fight for justice. And I'm just glad that these women are coming forward and privileged that they get in touch with me and I can have a chat with them and find out as well, all of these people, her solicitor became a solicitor because of something that happened to her husband by the police. So that encouraged her to study law and become a solicitor. So she's now taking up her civil case. And we're hearing more and more about these people. It's out there on the morphic resonance, as we like to talk about, that we've put it out there that we need the legal teams to help, whether it's forced adoption, whether it's contact with parents, whether it's mishandled cases by the police or actually abuse by the police. We need to meet. Well, we are going to meet up. Actually, I'm going to meet up with them. We're going to talk about who's helping who and who can we exchange details of, so that we can build this network of people, and hopefully more people will come forward with their stories, not become victims, but become warriors because of a traumatic experience. But that's what drives us to this warrior status, something that happens, adversity. So hello, Rob. Nice to see you. So yeah, that's a good start, because random phone calls like that, you meet wonderful people, and wide range of backgrounds, and it's keep them coming, really, because we'll build this army of women that the warrior women are coming out.
You know, no, we were talking about this before, Sharon, and it's ironic. I mean, this is so ironic. People got to listen to the strength and the acuteness and your courage there. And just how you be prepared to stand by your words. If you think of where, particularly this incident on May the 19th, the predicament you were in before this happened and as it happened. And it's ironic, same again, maybe I like to make links with things, but you're talking in a way now where this is part of the journey, but it is a positive conclusion to a lot of heartache, probably, a lot of ups and downs, a lot of, am I doing the right thing? Do I stick my head up? But now, if you listen, people listen to what you're saying there, you're literally talking about building up a network now, you know, and the positive outcome of basically sticking in the game. You know what I mean? And that goes with the individual that this is talking about, because this has obviously had a passage of time that she's had to pass through to get to this conclusion. As with you, with the conversation we had before this film was shot, you know what I mean? With you losing your job, with you having the problems, with you having an opinion, when everyone was knee-jerking at that point, thinking because you've got that opinion, you've got to lose your job, you've got to be ousted. And honestly, it's a joy. It's nice. It might have sounded a little bit dowdy and negative last week, but I love the way you started that, because that's the positive of survivors, people with courage, people who won't back down if they think right is on their side. So well done to you for that, first of all.
And well done to a big shout out to all the legal teams out there willing to take a chance on these people, because it is hard to go up against. I mean, Ian Gould, I'll sing his praises all day long, you know, and the barrister that I had was fabulous. And when you've got somebody you can take that case to and they take you seriously. I mean, this woman was made to feel like, you know what they said to her, and I think it's quoted in that article, they said to her that he seemed like a nice family man, why would he rape her? You know, like, that's all right. These drug rapes are happening more and more. And this wasn't a young girl, naive young girl. You know, this was somebody that thought they were having a drink with somebody and they've slipped something in the drink, and, you know, they wake up in the middle of the night or in the next day wondering where the hell they are and what's happened, with no recollection. You know, but they start to piece things back together. Things start to come back to them. And as they come back to them, I mean, this is 2 years ago, the incident. But she's had an apology from the police. So they've admitted something by that alone. So I hope that her case is solid and that she wins out, because she deserves to win. And I hope that her courage will encourage other people. And these women that I'm talking to, they're not just sitting still, they're building up Twitter accounts to get the people following, the exchanging information, they're sending letters to the likes of Andy Burnham. So they are taking action. They aren't just taking it lying down. The judge had to tell the police in the court with me to stop laughing. That's how arrogant they are, because they've got away with it for so long.
See, people have had enough, haven't they, Sharon? People can see that all these disparaging things in the world, and when you slightly go down the red pill journey, it becomes very discerning. It hurts if you're kind of looking and you can see the two-tier system. And same again, maybe the parallel with this. What we're going to cover today, and particularly the footage of what had happened to you the moment you were taken away, is not, for me, an ultimate indictment on the police, but it shows an element of narcissism and attitude within the police that probably makes people outraged that then can categorize and tar the whole police. I've seen it. I've been on marches where you'll get an innocent policeman being called a paedophile protector. And they're not. They're just doing the job. They're probably wet behind the ears and, you know, got no rank whatsoever, but they become part of the problem. But when you can see that this two-tier thing going on, where police then stick up for themselves and, you know, make sure that they're all right and maybe change certain elements of the events in order to make sure that they're on the right side, and you or anyone in your position is going to be deemed as the wrong one straight away. So, you know,
I'd like to pose the question that why do the police officers, whether they're, you know, chief inspectors, constables, when they do something wrong, they get promoted. You know, I don't know how the ranks go up in order, but this lady today, the person involved with her case, was promoted. Whether it's just to move them out of that station,
I know,
but they get a pay rise, needless to say.
I know, but then it's almost like the definition of wrong. Our definition of wrong is being moral. If that was the case, the police force, there must be a hell of a lot that would need to walk out the door right now when it comes to being ethical, being moral, having scruples, doing the right thing. Remember what you're employed for. Remember who employs you. Can't be easy. Everyone has good and bad days. Can't expect to get it right every day. But what you see, decisions that are made, you know what I mean, and all that kind of stuff, people can see it. It worries me with the two-tier system thing that we've got going on. That's what really worries me, is that regardless of rank or class, that you've got go-alongs to get along. And when you've got people that can see it, same again, whether they be activists, whether they have someone who's literally been affected by it firsthand, that's going to create a lack of confidence, but that's going to create some kind of attitude in terms of a fight as well. So same again, when you're saying all this, all I'm doing is trying to wrap it back to where you're at with your story and the strength and the courage from what you're talking about with the other lady in question and other people that are talking to you, but trying to wrap it into this show, Shannon, because I really want people to see what the life of a bleeding activist is all about. It ain't just about views. It ain't just about an ego. It ain't about content. It becomes far more serious, and depending on your talking point, but as soon as you stop that video, the life of the activist doesn't stop. You know what I mean? So, I mean, switching to your case, you were, what was the initial charge? It was an assault ×2, was it?
Yeah.
You want to just talk about that a little bit, just explain, because we're going to get to that footage once I've got to put that initial van scene. But let's build this up, right? So we were here. You were barely saying anything at this point. You had a beverage in your hand, but it was non-alcoholic. So it wasn't, you wasn't acting in a way that was deemed justifiable. For me, it felt like, I have to say it, there was I wouldn't say there was chauvinistic behavior there, but I felt that they jumped on you because, one, you were a woman, and two, you were probably away from it where they, you know, there was a bunch of us kind of here, and you were just there, and two of the worst elements of the police in that group seized upon you. That's what I see. But what do you make out from this incident, just as you were being carted off, and the individuals, the guys as well, the policemen that were with you?
Well, I mean, he would say he was just following orders. So it was brought to my attention by Neil Wilby, the journalist who picked up the story from Ian Gould. He said that I must have been a person of interest for them to push it like that, because I wasn't doing anything and they had to check the CCTV footage for the day to see if they could make a Section 50 stick. But at that point, he was trying to get my name and address, like, you know, I walked away because I hadn't done anything wrong. When he grabbed hold of me again and then forced the other guy, you know, he fortunately said at that point, right, I'm just going to arrest you now, because he was maintaining that he told me that the first time when I tried to walk away, and I insisted that he hadn't. So when the judge heard him saying that, she went in my favour. But it was just whether he was following the order or whether he was just an arrogant shit, which I think there was a bit of both going on there. Like I said, the woman that gave the order, she got promoted after the court, or maybe before, I don't know. But I just couldn't believe that they were taking me off to the van. And whether, if I'd have just complied out of fear, oh no, what's going to happen next, and give my name and address, I think he would have opened the door and told me to get lost, basically, don't come back into town. But because I insisted that I hadn't done anything wrong, and I wanted him to say what he'd done wrong, what I'd done wrong, for him to claim to be arresting me, and he couldn't. And as you see from the video, he couldn't handle it when I was pushing it.
Well, that's more.
This is the problem with half of them. They don't know the law. They're like.
No, I'm just saying this is more to the point.
I was just reading his.
I'm sorry, rather than be the police and the establishment here, I'm sure, you know, with the female police officer, firstly, for her to, she didn't witness what happened in the van, but she witnessed the way you got gripped. I know she's got to do a hard job, but she, from what I can gather, she was a superior officer here. She must have known that it was kind of.
She was the one that gave the orders for the Section 35.
Well, yeah, because I heard her. She was actually doing it in the background. You could hear the voice, couldn't you? So there's an element there that makes you think, you know, I don't expect her to have a bias and go, well, women shouldn't be harmed. But what I will say is, incarcerating anyone, there's got to be an element of justification for it. If you're going to go in like that, if someone's attacked you, then I get it. If there's an element of threat of attack, I get it. We get all that. If you got to arrest some big burly bloke, you've got to, be ready and all that stuff. But with what was posed in front of them, we can see it here now. There was very little, if no threat. And I think what you probably done is exposed the intellect and the scruples of the police officers rather than the police themselves, because you posed a very challenging situation for them. Like you say, I think they were just waiting and begging for you to submit because they're, in the authority, supposedly. So if they were a bit more articulate, if they handled that situation a bit better, if they would have had a bit more understanding, knowing that you're not really posing any big violent threat here. So, we need to take it in the van, but let's do it in a way that's dignified for everyone. There was big X's through all them boxes, never mind ticks. And I think that exposed them. And go on, sorry.
He actually, when my barrister asked him if that force that they used, that's in the footage from the body cam, when he asked him if he felt that force, and he referred to me a couple of times, it was a woman, he turned around, the officer turned around and said, what difference does it make if it's a woman? And so he was being questioned on how much force he should use in comparison to his body weight and strength, and being that I'm a woman and not massive. So he couldn't see the relevance of the fact that it's a man or a woman, it don't matter, they get treated the same. So that was his attitude in the court. And they were actually laughing at the back of the court when his colleague was talking about what happened in the back of the van. So he thought that was amusing as well. And he had to be told to stop laughing. A police officer being told by the judge to stop laughing. They're so arrogant. And so my judgment of him as a character doesn't just come from that day. So, and the things that I'm hearing, I mean, I got involved with Justice for Women and Children and started hearing about the forced adoption. I go through my court case for this which, you know, I just turned up because I was a lost soul at that point of trying to find a connection. And it was, this has led to the people getting in touch with me now that get in touch with me. And, you know, if we can connect these people up with the right sort of people, get them the right sort of help, because these rape victims, survivors, I hope that they don't get into that victim role. You know, I know it's horrific and everything what people go through, but you've got to be a survivor of it in order to survive, you know, get over it in a sense, or use it in a positive way to learn from it. There's always a blessing. And the blessing for me from all of this is where I've come in 5 years and the people that I've met. And, you know, it gives me hope that more and more people are waking up. Because that was my fears back then. It was like, we're doomed, basically. All the stuff I was looking at the time, I think Russia was leaking stuff about Clinton before the elections, and I'm thinking, surely not, she can't get elected. That's how, you know, at that point, I was just like, oh, the world's a mess. And so when people start coming out and talking about they standing for this and standing for that, you know that things, you just have to look in a different direction and you'll find those people. It's not all doom and gloom, but it feels that way when you start waking up. It just feels, you know, horrendous for a lot of good reason, but you kind of got to get over that and focus on the bigger picture.
That is the tough element about it. You can have as many thoughts as you want about trying to save the world, or where you think you can make the world a better place, or how you feel it should be a better place. And in many ways, we all might be right in our own individual way. What you've got to deal with is what is actually going on and how you deal with it. Because going back to being an activist again, with all this information, once you open that door, it's a scary place. Your perception changes, you know, your view changes. You might even look at people differently. This has all happened because I can testify to that. You know what I mean? You look at a body of people differently. You might even look at your own siblings differently, you know, because what they want to choose to wear, what they want to, you know, when the red pilling starts, it starts. You know, I've had many conversations in here over Hugo Boss. You know, one of my daughters loves it. I keep telling her, and she's not having it because, you know, she's awake, very awake. But, you know, I got a Hugo Boss t-shirt for my birthday, and I made my own political stance in here. Shannon, I'm like, I'm not wearing that, and I didn't want to do it. I'm like, I can't go on a stream wearing a Hugo Boss t-shirt, and someone's going to rinse me out from now till next week. And I know why they're going to rinse me out.
They went from making Nazi uniforms to making business suits, didn't they?
Well, this is it. There's so much cynicism with that, and people will say, well, they paid fines, they paid reparations, but I don't know whether they actually, you could measure how much. And even if they have, it's like shutting the door after the horse has got off and the horse is in totally another different field. It's the very thought that you want to take part in that. Never mind you saying sorry when someone's caught you and now you've made all these billions of pounds or been in the in game. Because let's face it, this is what the police will face as well. When you're working for something that's tyrannical, if you're just keeping your mouth shut, it means you want to be under that umbrella of the tyrannical system. So what does that make you? It makes you nothing but a pussy, in a sense. And that's what I'm realizing now, that people who want to speak the truth now, it's going to take some proper strength, inner strength, because you've got the world in your dog telling you you're wrong. So if you're not ready for this fight, you know what I mean? And I look at the journey again and I think, man, we've been through it, Sharon. And there's so many that's been through it with us that I'm still talking to now. That's like, we could have probably an individual on for the next 2-3 weeks that's representative of over them years that will just probably say the same thing and come out with all kinds of stuff that's happened to them and what they've heard and what not. And it all boils down to, we've got to stay in this game because you can see these guys. You can see what they're up to, and stop ranting, but it's beautiful to see the strength and the different outlook. Even when you were talking about this lady and in terms of yourself with the network, whatever role I'm doing, I'm buzzing. If I'm doing nothing, then I've done whatever I've done over the years. If someone watches a video and gets something from it that may enlighten them, or may empower them, that's me. Sweet. What ultimately...
And sometimes just one sentence can change a person's perspective, can't it? If you say the right thing to somebody when they need it, you might not even realize you've said the right thing to them, but to them, it can switch, completely where they're at. And if that works in a positive way, it's all good, isn't it?
No, it is, Sharon, you're right. Because there's many times I've thought, well, I'm only talking. I'm only doing this. I don't think of anything special. But then again, I don't know what is on the outside world. You don't know what is on the outside world. That neither of us probably know what impact we may have on other people, whether it be good or bad. We've got to take the rough with the smooth here. I mean, luckily, it's more good than bad, I would like to think. Otherwise, I'd know about it quick time. But it's a powerful point when you consider that. How other people are and what do you regard as your strength, Sharon, in this now, knowing that you've been through what you've been through?
I think my strength, comes from caring less what people think and what people say, because I know my intentions. And if something I say upsets or offends somebody, they need to look inside themselves to find out why that is, because if it's my intention to do that, then you'll know it's my intention to do that. But if I'm just talking and I've got an opinion on something, that's just my opinion. You either agree with it or you don't. I don't mind which it is. But I think that relinquishing control puts you in control. So when you can surrender to things and just say, what will be, will be. But this is where I stand, and I stand in my truth. And all the world around me is there, but really focuses on me, and I need to be doing the right thing every day for me, and therefore for the people around me. That spreads out to the wider circle. People appreciate that support, appreciate you allowing them to be who they are and to grow into who they are. Like particularly my kids are grown up, they're adults, do you know what I mean? But I've got 3 grandchildren, and so I want to be their inspiration. I want them to look at me and think, I want to be as strong as grandma. I want to stand for something like grandma. Do you know, I don't want to just let life pass me by. I want to take part. And so I think my attitude to life is my strength. My response to most things, if I can say that's good, it helps you focus on what is good about it. Because even when it's not good or feels like it's not, there's a blessing with the lesson. It's like blessings in disguise, really. I mean, I say lessons and blessings rather than that, but it's still just a saying. And it's true, because there's a lot of some, there's a pot of gold at the end of the rainbow, and things like that. It's because you know that whatever you go through, when you can get the strength from it, you grow as a person. And experience gives you that. Somebody else, this is where, if you're overprotective with your children, you're preventing them from feeling things. My daughter, my youngest daughter, she found my mum when she died. She found her on the bathroom floor. She was in the house on the road. She found I was out. And she would say that she had she split up with a boyfriend, and her reaction was, do you know what, if I can deal with finding my nana, I can deal with anything. There's nobody going to bring me down. And I think she found just that traumatic experience, as it is at the time, can bring you such a strength that you can't, other people's experience can't give you, but you can give your experience to them so that they can feel like they're not alone in that. And all you can do is share your own experiences, because that keeps it true. And when you're true to what you're saying, because it's your experience, it holds more weight for people to Jace with his Shazza grandma. But yeah, so it's just hopefully being that inspiration is my strength, is my attitude, and I think it works for me. So yeah.
No,
what would you say yours is, Phil?
Talking to people, allowing people to talk, giving people a chance. I think with me over the years, because of the upbringing I've had, because of where I was brought up, because of the class system and the strifes and all the rest of it, I totally agree with you. People can go, you've had a shit life, you know? I would say there's been a lot of bad things, but then when you flip it, there's been a lot of thinking, a lot of learning from all of the experiences, the situations, the challenges, the people you meet, all of it, whether it be in a professional capacity, non-professional, whatever. The activism side of it was probably no extension. I don't mind talking to people. So I think when I jumped into this, I had no idea. I didn't have any cavalier thoughts, I'm going to do this. I literally started this thinking, I was called a Nazi. And the march I went to, they were all branded as Nazis. So I'm going to go to another march where no doubt they'll be branded Nazis, and I want to see for myself, you know what I mean? And it started like that. And I'll never forget the first time I started talking to somebody whilst walking, if I remember rightly, properly, was the FLA. I mean, there was many people that had stopped me in the background. How you doing, Phil? This, that, and the other. But by the time I got the channel set up, it was the FLA, the big march in London. And I'll never forget it. I remember the actual guy, the look of him as well. And he was just walking. I was just showing myself, like buzzing my tits off. Sorry, let's say it. I was buzzing, just walking down. Felt great. Felt part of something that was growing. He'd said behind me, "You all right, Phil?" We just started striking at the conversation. Then I started to see that listening to that man, letting that man say what he said, knowing that I connected with him on the real as one person to the next. If he was the man on the estate, I'd walk away thinking there was nothing wrong with that guy. And that's how I gauged everyone. I don't go in there going, right, we're all right wing, we're all this. I'm non-paradigmal. And that was probably my problem with this, because I went in just looking like a man on the street, chat to you. If you come across well, if you don't, then I'll just politely. Probably that scratched into interviewing and whatnot. Probably what I'm trying to say is just letting people get together, speak, and I've always...
You give them a platform, don't you, Phil?
Well, I try and use the skills I've got. In many ways, I feel very blessed because I do things musically, blah, 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 blah. So try to create something that gives something to people rather than you can have this tune on this channel, but you know what? Can you put your money in the pot there? You know, can you subscribe financially here? with the stories that I've had in my life and listening to like Nicky Lockett, with the way the music system has shafted the individual musician, DJ, you name it. The DJ used to be the record company's best friend. Now the DJ means nothing to the record company, and that's what really gets my goat. Back in the day, they give you white labels and go, do anything, just play our tune, play our tune. Now, if you play their tune, you're getting a copyright strike. They've got no respect at all, so they've outgrown their position. So because of that, I never wanted to create anything where I'm going, right, it's all about money making. If all I ever wanted to do was where it could finance itself, where they initially wanted to go out and do this as a full-time job, didn't happen, but that's the way it goes. But in a nutshell, giving an open platform to many people, meet many people on the experience, and allowed this platform, or the platform I was on, to be an open conduit for people. And when I look back, and I think the amount of people I've met and looking at their journey from what I've heard of other people and what I've seen with my own eyes has been just as educational as watching the progression of life that I've actually been an activist about as well. You know what I mean? So this is why it intrigues me about you. Sorry, it's a proper long rant there. I hope it made sense, but this is what I love about this. I'm digressing to fuck because I love the fact that we've been through this for so many years, arguing, doing all the crap, being banned, and still here, and trying to psychoanalyze where we're at. So yeah, probably giving free smiles, free positivity, trying to tell people that there is a more positive way, and with every news article that tells you there's something bad in the world, you've got to remember two things that are good in the world. But you know, I'll tell you one thing, there's many times, Sharon, and I will shut up after this, there's many times that I felt it's like a bucket with so many holes in it, it can't carry the water. Because as much as you wanted to do the right thing, there's been so many bad elements in terms of news stories that when you read Pilling, I could barely cover. As a person that works, I can decide on covering a video tonight. I guarantee tomorrow, before I've actually edited it, there'll be something else that'll be probably more important. And by that afternoon, there'll be something else, there'll be something else, there'll be something else. And you get to think that I'm sat here going, hi guys, yeah, stay positive, while I've been on that stream, 10 headlines that's pissed off my streamers, you know what I mean? It's like, man, this is like just holes in a bucket. And with that, I'm going to shut up.
Yeah, you've got to see it in terms of, we were talking today about, they always have a 100-year plan. I see it in terms of a 100-year plan. So the transgender agenda, they would have started 100 years before they expected to get anywhere with it. So they start manipulating the mind. We see it now with the likes of Elon Musk, who will be, he's setting the narrative, oh, I'm just one of you, I give up all my wealth and everything, but he's still trying to call his baby after a robot. I think he couldn't because there was numbers in the name or something. But it's like setting the scene because he'll step in for the AI part of things. Bill Gates was in there for all the other stuff.
So I've just been tuned for being
this is a good guy. Do you know, he's producing Microsoft, or produces the virus and then the cure on the computers, and nobody bats an eyelid when he does it to us, you know. And it's like, what is going, well, people do bat an eyelid, fortunately, but not enough people. And unfortunately, there's stories every day from people who are dying that shouldn't be dying, and they're dying unnecessarily. They weren't ill before, and we know why they're dying, and people are still trusting that that is an okay thing to do. And now they've started on the children, and the Mockingjay girls up in Newcastle, they're they're protesting quite regular with the boards and things and getting a little bit of notice with the local press, so that's good. But now they're calling for measures, stronger measures. I think Priti Patel had said something about stronger measures for the anti-vaxxers to not be bothering people around the schools, because people want to protect children. And, you know, there's one death is one too many for any child in school.
Sorry, Sharon, can you just clarify that? Are you trying to say that they're trying to intimate that people who want autonomy of their own body have now got to be they're seen as a risk outside of a school for what? Contaminating information? What for what reason? Have I understood that right?
They want to shut them up. They're not following the narrative, are they?
No, but
they try to stand up for the rights and
a small group of people out there, and everyone else been queuing up like, you know, they want to go on holiday tomorrow. So if that is the case, then why, one, are they worried about a small group of people, and two, when they've got the media in the pocket, when they've got all the elements of propaganda at their fingertips that they have been pumping out for the past 2.5 years with impunity, why are they worried about a conspiracy theorist? Don't get it.
I know, because all them theories are coming to fact, aren't they? People have seen now that they've been proven in most cases. And because they do stretch these things out over such a long period of time, it's like generational. It's bred through them, isn't it? To do whatever ills they can to us. And so they have these agendas, and we see them following them through. But when people stand up, it does make a difference. And people might think, I know apparently there was a lot of, I think the demonstration in Newcastle yesterday got some coverage from the Chronicle. And apparently, I've not read the comments, but somebody had commented on the fact that there was a lot of negative comments, people saying, oh, not a mask in sight and things like that. Well, hello, you don't even have to wear them anymore at the moment. So why are you complaining that others aren't wearing them? Do you know, it's it's almost like they want to get a measure of how many people, when they say you don't have to wear them.
It's propaganda. Well, I mean, to explain that point, if anything, possibly something has got to do with it. I was going to do a foreigner the other day at a mate's house, right? I went round, it was early in the morning, about 10 o'clock. I opened the door, he'd left his telly on. It was Good Morning Britain or whatever it is. You know, the thing at the bottom, the headline, should we make masks mandatory again? So the news media are pumping out in people's psyche that we should have a justification to now. So it doesn't surprise me that someone said that, because if they've been listening to various news outlets starting saying, oh, do we need to wear a mask again? And everyone bottling it. And the irony is, it don't get me mad anymore. I just laugh, because this is like just a strange planet. And we've got to be careful here, because we don't want anything to happen to this channel. But I'm like, my world's just normal. Everyone who I meet, none of my mates wear masks. Some have had vaccinations if they've chose to, some don't. None of them are getting on my case if they have. The guy who had done the foreigner for, they've been vaccinated. They're not saying, well, don't come and paint my house, Phil. They're like, Phil, when can you get your ass in there? Because I need to get my carpet down. So everyone's just getting on with it. It only seems to be outside sources that are now planting it in the weak-minded people to then go on the attack against other people. And it's like, the media. It's just 100% the media. So this is what I'm saying. Why are they worried about half a dozen people stood outside of a school that'll go, well, you've got choice of your own body? And you did answer it before, but it does kind of go back to that, doesn't it? You know what I mean? People are waking up.
Yeah.
People are seeing over a year process, 2-year process, that so many things don't add up. Even people that were bought into the fear, it's the same old adage. People that bought in, first of all, now have realised they've been sold out. You've not bought nothing. You've been sold. And you could actually argue you're not even human anymore. That's another point, but not going there.
Yeah.
Sorry, I'm going to turn into a rant this. Right, Sharon,
Yeah.
First, no.
Yeah, I said.
Go on, Sean.
I was going to say this one's not so bad, but if you're going to play the other one off the body cam, just suggestion to the viewers to turn the volume down, because the screaming in there was kind of trying to get the attention on the outside as much as anything, but it does burst your ears.
Yeah, and you know what? I know with hindsight, with time, things don't seem as bad. And it's really positive knowing that you're there with a smile on your face. But there's something this is the part about this whole incident that don't make me smile, even after all this time. 1, because I know you. 2, because I know what you done on the day. 3, because I know what they've done on the day. 4, because it's a man against a woman. You know what I mean? And I look at him now and I think, he ain't no man. And if I seen him, whether he's got that uniform on or not, I would tell him dog to his face that he's nothing but a pussy. And if he wants to arrest me for calling him a pussy for acting the way he did, then put the cuffs on. Seriously. Because then, in the statement, all I'm going to say is, he's a pussy. That's it. Done. You know what I mean? And I don't like it. Society's riddled with people. Don't need it.
The big fella with him that put me on the van, the next, was it 2 weeks later, he was nice as nips to you, wasn't he? When you were filming the following demo, he was chatting away to you.
The sergeant you're talking about.
Yeah.
Yeah, the sergeant.
I think the one that he grabbed hold of me, yeah.
He called if it's the sergeant that you're on about, the one that I've met him frequently on different events in Manchester. I think he's from more Merseyside police, but I think he gets deployed. But I don't know, I might be wrong. Initially, I thought that was the case anyway, but he's been around for years. He struck a bond with me, this sergeant. He's been like fist pumping me and everything on marches not so long back. Honestly, and it's like, he wasn't the problem on this day. I mean, he gave out the Section 35s. He was the knob, but he wasn't doing what these guys were doing. And you know what I mean? And so I've got to say that, really. But it's these guys just doing their job, but doing it badly. You know what I mean? There was no need to do what they've done. But anyway, let's play this clip. And if you want me to stop at any point, Sharon, stop. Other than that, I'll just let it play.
No, it'll be all right. It's all right.
Okay, here we go. Right, this is what happened next, guys. Like Sharon says, it's not very nice. And if you're a man that likes to be chivalrous towards women and wants to respect women, even if you are a policeman.
I've just been detained for being a bystander in a city square. I've got off the train. I've got off the train from Middlesbrough to come to a remembrance march in honour of the people that died. I followed the guys down here, right? I'm standing around watching what's going on. I get arrested for doing nothing. I wasn't videoing, I wasn't causing trouble.
You don't have to do anything.
I was just standing there.
You'd let me speak, I will explain what we're doing and why we're doing it, okay?
You've arrested me for nothing.
I've arrested you for failing to provide your details upon request.
What did I have to provide my details for? Standing around in a square?
We have
I haven't done anything wrong.
And evidence that you are associated with this group. Therefore,
what information and intelligence?
This is where I've got to say something. They've got intelligence that they're associated with this group. It was me, John, and Joel. Group, the three fucking amigos. You know what I mean? I mean, what? Jesus, I'm not even affiliated to anyone. I was never affiliated to anyone. And you know that, Sharon. I've covered many things. FLA, DFLA, PAG, I've worn many emblems. I've worn hoodies of PAG, I've worn. But, you know, in terms of a member, I have never been a member of anything. Now, I can't say that for other individuals who were there on that day, but I can. But what I can say is that guy there had no right, that group, There's no negative connotation attached to us that makes us a viable threat where we, one, should have been stopped and you should have been treated like that. That's what I've got to say there, Sharon.
Well, I think that maybe Peter Sweden was a person of interest, and so our association with, because you just never know who they're following, he'd had to leave Sweden because he was reporting on all the rapes. He told me that Sweden was the rape capital of Europe. I mean, I'm going back to 2017 here, and I'm like, what? I thought it was all blonde hair and Alps. No, he had to leave because he was reporting on what was going on. So maybe our association with people that we've spoken to early days, because they were quite prominent people, I later find out, we become a person of interest. So maybe that's why they were following you as a group, because you're recording things.
I get that. But you know what? If any interviewer goes to San Quentin and interviews a fucking mass murderer, does that mean he's somehow in this circle of mass murdering fiends that he needs to be watched? And as soon as he makes a move out of his house with a camera, fucking stop him. Like, seriously? You can't use that. It's like they put us in a political kind of cage that suited them to treat us like shit. That's all I got from that, and that's why I want having it on the day. And for him to say that, I mean, who is in? I mean, this gets fucking annoying. Sorry, Sharon. Sorry, 6. The way you treat
you need one of those tension balls to squeeze, Phil.
I need something. I've got nothing to buy. Oh, but he's antagonising us as proper wrong'uns, which justify his position. Look what he done to you.
Yeah.
So where's the injustice in that? And this is where a common sense average geezer will go, I haven't got any confidence in you as a policeman, but I'm finding it hard to have any confidence in the police force, but I can't be that general sweeping. But fucking hell, you're making it hard for me, because I look at you and you've got your scruples all wrong, but yeah, you've got that badge on and you think you can say to people that are going about being honest citizen journalists, that group over there, so we've got the right to do this, which means I've got the right to pin you down as a slight female.
Yeah, it was May 2018, wasn't it?
Yes, sorry, TKE, he just jumped in. He's kind of new to this. He's one of the newer activists that I was reaching out to, and this, that, and the other, so he won't know. TKE, mate, we are talking about an incident. This is Sharon Binks, by the way. We've got a long history. We're going back to an incident that's going back to the 19th of May, 2018. Now, this was a DFLA event that we were trying to attend, but we were trying to detour to go to the Stand Up to Racism, where they were just shouting bullshit in the street. And all we were going to do is go and film them. That was it. But no, we were treated like, we were proper wrong'uns. And Sharon ended up getting arrested. And 2 of the other guys that were with us ended up getting Section 35s. Yeah. And I ended up pissed off all day because I didn't know what was going on. I didn't know whether to go to the event, whether I was going to get picked up because now they've seen me. And I'm thinking, I've done nothing wrong here. You've done nothing, you know what I mean? And this guy acts like a complete freaking social fucking perfect narcissistic knobhead. And he deserves to sit and moralise to you like that. No, but it's right, though, innit? And I'm done with dicks like this. It's kind of bad. I respect any police officer if he's got a brain in his head and he knows how to talk to someone. I'm not one of them that goes, well, because you're a cop, you're this. But when pricks like this can barely string a sentence, telling you to pretty much shut up. So
I know. He's, I mean, I did say to him, I called him a bully. Apparently that's verbal assault, but they
what?
In the court, they charged me. I know, I'll tell you a sec. They charged me with assaulting the police, right? I I was shown one injury on one.
Sharon, I'm sorry. The bullying is classed as verbal assault. So if you call a policeman a bully, he can then get you done for assault.
The judge deemed it verbal assault. You'll see it on the video where I'm calling him a bully in the body cam. After they've just assaulted me, I'm calling him a bully. My barrister said she could have said a lot worse. But yeah, so he fortunately, I put this video, I started videoing him in the back of the van because I said to him, "What's this, a police state?" He went, "Yeah, do as you're told." Well, I'm sorry, I'm a 48-year-old woman. You're not telling me to do as I'm told when I haven't done nothing wrong. So he told me to do as I'm told. So then I said, right, I'm going to video you because I don't trust you. I said, you go home and beat your wife up or something. You're just a bully, right? So he said, do what you want. So I got my phone out. And that's when I started recording it. So that's what you see. And when he lunges for my phone, that's when my phone flipped shut and went off. Thank you. Went off. So I hadn't seen the body cam footage from the other guy until coming up to the court proceedings. So it's kind of like you have a vague idea of what went on in there, but you don't know. Like him punching me in the back was reasonable force according to the judge, but me calling him a bully was verbal abuse. And there was in court. There were two injuries, two hand injuries, but actually at the police station with the solicitor, she had a photo of one of them. They'd sent it in straight away. They colluded with each other, sent the report in straight away after the incident. So they ticked every box that they got questioned on in court, fortunately, because they ticked the boxes saying that what they did to me was in the public interest and it was just for my safety and for their safety and all that crap. So she pulled them up on that, because, well, he did, on that, because they'd just ticked all the same boxes and then said, well, you hear him saying assault times 2. And as you know, it was thrown out as soon as we got to the court. But yeah, that was their assault charge against me, which I was quite surprised. I was expecting a section 50 charge and I got assault instead. But yeah, he couldn't handle me challenging him, and he lost it.
But
carry on.
Policing, Sharon. That shows you that if he's done that to you, how many other people has he done that to? Because not everyone will handle it the way you did and tell him. You know what I mean? And particularly maybe a woman. You know what I mean? A woman on her own. So he had to step it up.
As with this girl As with the girl that came to me about being drugged and raped in the police cells after being arrested for being drunk. How many times has that happened? How many deaths in custody have been because of those things? Because they cover up, they lie, they barefaced lied in court, and it's like we're supposed to trust these people. And he was shaking and sweating, which I got some joy out of, because I just thought, yeah, you squirm, little man. Do you know what I mean?
Because it's gone a lot further than what normally happens. Normally they would have got away with it. Normally the person that they've done it to is probably weaker and let it go, you know, whatever. It's not worth taking it on. And this is where we've got to realise and take nothing else but we are the 99% from this. Because one individual, normally you feel, I'm helpless. That dickhead's done that to me in the back of the van. You know, how do I go about getting my own back on this? And in a way, you've done it. One person. You know what I mean? So that gives a lot of people, should inspire a lot of people.
I thought me putting that video out after the incident, I put it straight on Facebook. I was like, how dare you put it on Facebook? And so when I turned up in Manchester 2 weeks later for the FLA Remembrance March, I met up with the football lads. I'd met Brian this time. I travelled with him. So he introduced me to other football lads, and they were like, oh, I saw that video. Was that you? Oh, yeah. And then, so I built up this network of people that were really supportive, that were completely angered, outraged by what had gone on. Do you know how treating one of ours like that? But no, he wasn't reprimanded as far as I know. And the woman that gave the order was promoted. So he may well have been promoted also. But he didn't know the law, and she pointed that out to him in court.
Well, that's what Kenneth here is asking. Has he been reprimanded for his lack of understanding of the law?
He's probably been promoted, Kenneth.
Well, he's a good boy, you know, and he's obviously with company there that it shows when the chips are down, the collude. I mean, it's when let me carry on playing this because I want to get to the bit where one of the police officers comes out and he says, he basically colludes with the other one in terms of what can we pin on this lady, you know? So let's keep going.
Have been watching you.
What kind? I've arrived down the road
to
a meeting point.
What's happening? Okay.
Right, I arrived down the road on my own. Do you want to see my train ticket?
No, I don't want to
right,
see the train ticket.
I saw these guys. I said, "Where are you going? We're having a walk down there. Can I come with you?" Because the guys that were supposed to meet me off the train didn't meet me. Right, so I walked down here with them because I've seen them before. Right, I've no association with them at all, apart from I've walked down here with
them on camera.
I'm associated.
That's enough for us.
What walking down the street with somebody,
yes.
having a conversation
yes.
with somebody is
That's
enough to arrest me.
No,
is enough to arrest me.
That is enough to issue with the Section 35 power. Okay.
Police brutality.
It's not police
brutality.
You've
twisted my arm. You've nipped my arm.
I
wasn't resisting. I wasn't waving my arms around. I didn't have a glass in my hand.
You did have a glass in your hand.
He took the plastic cup off me that I walked down with lime and soda in it.
I'm not arguing with you.
He took the plastic cup off me. I didn't have a glass in my hand. This is police brutality.
Okay.
It's an abuse of power. All I was doing was standing in the square listening to what was going on when them guys are getting told they're getting a Section 35. You've bullied me. You've bullied me from walking up to me. You've bullied me. Right, you bullied me. You grabbed hold of me and you bullied me. No, you grabbed my arm and you bullied me. He took the glass off me before you did that.
I'm not going to waste
right?
breath anymore.
So you asked me
surname,
for my name and address, right? And I have done nothing
can I have your surname,
wrong.
Please?
You have given me a Section 35 for standing in the street.
Can I have your surname?
For standing in the street.
Can I have your surname?
Can you understand why I resist telling you my name and address when I feel as a citizen I've done nothing wrong?
Your name and address, you provide your
No,
no,
not if you're in the wrong.
Okay,
are you following your oath? Are you following your oath?
On a minute.
Are
now
you
you're under arrest.
Are you following your
sit
oath?
down? Now you're
Police
under arrest.
brutality.
He just intellectually can't handle it. You can't handle it. You're being obstructive and difficult, but you've got justification for that. If you didn't, then that's a different matter. But to try and suggest that he's not abusing his powers there. He's not even paying attention to anything that you're saying. He's not even trying to come at it from a different angle. And same again, it's death by association. And I don't even get why the death part is attributed to us, even though we believe what we believe. I've not incited anything. There's no legitimate reason why you should have got targeted like that.
But even the three of you aren't in an association. You had an interest in video on what was going on because there was a movement growing, and when it's like you're associated with it, like some sort of secret network or something. Associate because I suppose you could say associates at that point, but it was like. I knew you a little bit. I'd met you a couple of times. I recognised you, and it was like, "Can I tag along with you?" And you were like, "Yeah, fine. We're just gonna go down there. Fine, great. I'll just tag along." I'm talking to you about losing my job all the way down there, and then get stopped. But we were like, "All right, okay, what's going on?" Because they stopped us. So but this, like I say, folks, turn the volume down in the back for this one because you'll burst your ears. I'm going to turn mine down.
I'll turn the volume down on it anyway, so it's a little bit lower. Yeah, I get what you're saying, Sharon. I get what you're saying. But I still can't help but look at this in the real world eyes. You know what I mean? I've been to some marches. There may have been elements there that you can't control. If there's 1,000 people at a march, there might be 5 or 10 of interest to police, and I get that. Okay. you don't tar everyone with that brush. I mean, that's the whole reason why I got the channel in the first place. You called me a fucking Nazi. You know what I mean? It's like you had no right. God's sake. The shit I got off my wife when I got home. Not because I was called a Nazi, nothing to do with that, but because I've done what I normally do. I've opened this, and when we're at a restaurant, the wife just wants to don't complain about the food. We just won't come back. I'm like, no, excuse me. She's like, so that she was more, oh, what have you done? You know, you've done it again. And then when she found out it went viral and everything, and I mean, that battered my head, and it battered her head, and God knows. But it's just been, I just can't believe in this world when you believe something that is right and true, but yet a narrative says, well, no, you are wrong, even though there's no justification, there's no action that we can cite that puts that in an accurate place, but yet we have everything to assassinate your character. And I'm like, man, in my real life, people fucking love me. People love you, Sharon. You know what I mean? We're likable people. We get on. Look, we're not hateful people. We don't preach hate. So maybe I'm digressing because I can't get, we've normalized this. And this ain't normal.
I phoned my daughter when I got on the train to tell her what had happened, my older one. And I said to her, I told her I'd been arrested and beaten up by the police. My ribs were hurting and my wrist was all cut. And she's like, well, what have you done? I said, I haven't done anything. You must have done something, Mum. They can't arrest you for nothing. I was like, seriously, I haven't done anything wrong. And bless, there was this lady on the train. She was a retired magistrate, and she was listening to what I was saying to her, what had happened to me in the station and everything else. And she went, do you know what? Because I said, oh, I have to go to court next month for assaulting police. And she said to me, she said, well, you just go in that cart. She says, wear your Teflon cloak so everything just bounces off you, and your crown to keep your head held high. She said, you've done nothing wrong. So anyway, but your videos and John's and you know, Joel's, my daughter could see that I hadn't done anything wrong, fortunately, because even when she saw mine, she was like, you haven't done anything wrong, Mum, have you? And I was like, no. And it opens their eyes to how can they do that? Because she was like, well, they can't just do that to you for no good reason. And I'm like, seriously, babe, they did. But yeah.
And this is where it's wrong. You know what I mean? And let's face it, I'm not asked what colour of the skin is. Now, if you was, this is what pisses me right off, right? And I'm mixed race. If you'd have been a black guy or a black woman, right? If you'd have been supporting Black Lives Matter or Extinction Rebellion or any other them organisations, that would have happened to you. The race, that would have happened, if you're black, that was it. But if the race card could have been applied so quickly that it would have made him recoil that quick that he wouldn't know what day it was. And I don't find that fair. Don't hide behind a narrative here. So because you've got to keep your diversity quota, I can't do it to her because she's a bit, but she's all right. Just like I can't do it to him because he might be, but he's no, you've got to have the level playing field with everybody. And like I say, I'm not justifying anyone getting off with something. I mean, it's amusing when you ringing your daughter up and you're telling you've been punched in the, you know, you're wheeling off all these injuries. And she goes, what have you done? It's like, what could a woman have done to a policeman, right? A normal, law-abiding citizen to justify getting ripped and treated like that. You would have had to have been uber violent. Or, you know, you would have to have lunged for them, or thrown something, or been such, you know, kicking your feet everywhere, where the only way they could have subdued you is giving you a couple of digs. That's how I interpret that amount of force. So this is where I'll keep doing this. I'll keep banging on about it and probably overplaying it. You seem to have got over it far more than me, ain't it, Sharon?
Well, I think that what you've got to, I mean, you've got to stand your ground, haven't you? But I think that, I lost the thread of what I was going to say there. I was going to say something about, anyway, never mind. I was going to say something.
Unless you want to finish.
Oh, that's right. The two weeks later, when I'm talking to you on the street, when we bump into each other again, and I go, "Oh, this is Brian that wasn't there the other week to meet me," and I told you what had happened, and I thought that would have gone against me because I showed the video in the van, and I'd spoken to you about all what had happened. But actually, because they have you believe that if you can't talk about something before it goes to court, you're going to damage the case. But the fact that my story didn't change over that 3-year period actually worked in my favor, because that was what happened. And it was only with this footage here that I could see exactly what happened in the van. But yeah, they were laughing when they were being shown this in court. This is how much they care about. The police were laughing about, no remorse whatsoever. He didn't even want to say. Well, he asked him 3 or 4 times if he would do things differently if the situation arose again, and he said no. And the judge had to kind of prompt him to say, oh, well, maybe, because he was just like, well, I didn't do anything wrong.
And this is what amazes me, because if any of these Muppets have got women, God bless the women in their life, you know. But if they have, and they was to watch a bit of footage with 2 police officers treating their woman like that, knowing their woman had done just as much as you did, would they be sat there thinking, well, that's appropriate behaviour, that, you know what I mean, that's proportionate, you deserve that, I'm sorry. No, they would be kicking off. So that clearly shows you're on a 180. A lot of the time you can just do that, can't you? Flip it the other way and you won't like it. You know what I mean? Let me go and do it to your missus, and I'm sure you'll want me in a cell within half an hour. There's going to be helicopters out. And let's look at it this way, with the connotation as well. I'm going to play the race card on here. A black man running away from a scene having to attack a woman. Yeah, that's going to go down well. You can see I'm getting battened and I'm not coming out. Never mind, Black Lives fucking matter. I'm sorry, I'm getting wound up here because I don't like pussies. I don't like bullies. And even if they are so-called superior, they're not when they act like that. They're not. So I'm sorry, I'm getting off on one here. Let me just play this and calm down or something. I'll set my volume and hopefully it'll calm down by the end of it.
Police brutality! I'll tell you what, it's alright, we'll just put some cuffs on here. I cannot believe you're doing this to me! I've done nothing wrong! I've done nothing wrong! Release your hand! You're under arrest, put your arms behind your back! Ow! Ow! Put your arms behind your Give me my phone! Get your arms behind your back! No, you just leave it there! Resisting! And put your arms behind your back! Give me that one, mate. You got it? Yeah. Right, well, there was absolutely no need for that, was there? No, there wasn't! Right, just behave! You're a bully! Sit down! Shut up and sit down. You're a bully! Yeah. You're an idiot. Right. Was there any need? All I did was stand in the street. Sometimes too. Yeah.
You hear that, Sharon? Sometimes too, do you hear the tone of voice? That was so wimpish. The way they treated you, one of them beat you in the back there, and I think, man, it took 2 of you and you still had to do that. You know, and I think, you're already in the van, you're not going anywhere. So you could actually say that could have been handled without having to put any cuffs on you. You know what I mean?
I know.
That's totally been calmed down, and look where they took it. But
I dropped my phone.
On a positive note, someone likes your tattoo.
I dropped my phone because what happened was I had my phone like that in this hand, and when he lunged for it, I put it in the other hand, and this is how they got this wrist, and so I'm trying to put my phone down my trousers, bent over. So when he actually got my hand free, and I dropped my phone, and that's when I said, "Give me my phone." And he thought I'd lost my phone at that point. And at that point, I managed to pick it up, which is where you hear me saying, "You just need me in the head." That was when I was leaning down to pick my phone back up. And then I managed to get it down the front of my trousers, and I gave him my wrist then, and that's when they put the cuff on it. Because I'd achieved what I'd set out to do, and I wasn't giving him my phone. And so they quickly got me off of there. But you can hear him when he goes round the side, back to the driver's side. He gestures to the police over the road to say that they've cuffed me. And then he's like, "I know, I'll sort it." And then you can hear him in the back when I'm saying to him, "My cuffs are too tight." I don't think the judge heard that because she didn't, or my barrister, because I said to him, if you'd have played it a little bit, just a little bit longer, you can actually hear him saying, "Tough, wait till he gets to the station," when I'm saying they're cutting into me. But they didn't kind of push that point really, because that was part of it. So yeah, it's
that's how I feel. I mean, I'm kind of here, and I was with you. I followed up. We went to a hearing after this, but there's no amount of time I'll look at that and go, "Oh, remember the good old days, Sharon." I look at that and I think, man, have I ever seen that motherfucker? That's what I feel. That's what I feel, and I'm not trying to do that to be a big hard man. I've got no respect for anyone in the constabulary that wants to treat people like that. And if he's going to be weak and use his badge in order to suppress people, we've seen you. And once people see you do that, you've got no power over me. You can cuff me all you want, but I will never, ever respect your decision. And I will always talk to a superior until, getting you reprimanded. It's shocking. Absolutely shocking. I mean, what was your family's attitude when they seen that?
I don't know if my girls have watched that. I'm not sure if they have or not. They don't really need to. Do you know what I mean? I mean, my girls have had to put up with a lot really, because that period in my life was already difficult from things that were happening in my personal life, and losing my job, and then that being there was I mean, they try to push, "Oh, it's your political persuasion" in the court, like because I'd spoke at UKIP. I mean, I wasn't even a member. Do you know what I mean? But this
is the crazy thing, though.
Yeah.
If you were literally a part of a goose-stepping society, I'd go, "All right, Sharon, I can see why, they might be looking at you there. And by the way, just walk behind me a little bit because, we're like, death by affiliation, all that kind of stuff." But UKIP, seriously? But it's suitable for them to be able to categorize UKIP as, 2 doors down from neo-Nazis? And it's like, come on. When you can
their barrister said to me in court, that I believe that the police should deal more sternly with a certain group in society. And my response was, I think the police should deal fairly with whoever's committing the crimes. And I think that women should be safe, But, I think he didn't push me as hard as I thought he would push me, their barrister. And I think that was purely because I wasn't taking it. Do you know, like when he was trying to say it was my political persuasion, I was saying, associated with this person. And I'm like, well, even with you, when we spoke, because you came up obviously in the car, and it's like, well, is Phil's a level-headed person. That's how come he was out there in the first place, because he had an argument with somebody, and it was a level-headed argument. It was like, based on fact and truth. And so even them trying to say you were part of something, I'm saying he's the most level person I've met on the scene. So yeah, it's
same again.
practice really. What the
annoys me. We know how many of these, whether it be police, judiciary, you could actually talk about medical professionals now, right? They might have a top ranking status. How many do they know that take cocaine? How many of them do they know that actually batter the drink? How many of them do they know their own colleagues I'm talking about that abuse the wives? How many do you know that have an affair? But yet their character is still there because they have that role and position. That's wrong. And don't judge me when you know that you're getting away with all kinds, but yet because you've got a couple of letters after your name, that gives you the element to do that. And that, it annoys me. A wronging is a wronging, whether they've got lapels or not. This is a classless thing. This is a colourless thing. It's all about scruples, and I can fucking see it. And it's like, man, these low-level bitches, I know that these guys, imagine what these guys would be like on a Christmas do with their other fucking bobbies in blue. You know what I mean? They'll be in the toilets, they'll be having all kinds of shenanigans going on. And I've just got to say it. So they try and hold this moral high standard and say, well, you know, even normal, rational people, you're below that radar. Don't do that to me or you. You know, you just show your character what you're all about. You're a fucking woman beater, for starters. I don't do that.
Yeah.
Jesus, sorry. I'll just.
But to continue to try and justify it when he could have said, well, maybe it was a little bit over the top, but he wasn't admitting to anything, and he had to be pushed by the judge. I think she just didn't want to have to judge him so harshly. But I do know that they had all the barristers' fees to pay.
Well, yeah, Sharon, you know, when you've got moderators that are real empaths, you know what I mean? When they're real sympathetic to your cause, yeah? You just look at that. Look at him. Can we go back and pause? I want to see Shazza's in. Because that's the moment where you were getting bent over and kind of getting battered in the ribs. Oh, come on, TKE.
I've got a big scar now. Hey, part of that back tattoo is now across the front. You know, I had my operation.
Oh yes. Well, this is another thing that a lot of people don't know. You know, in your journey, you know what I mean? I don't know whether you want to talk about it. I don't know how long it actually lasted for, but look, you look fantastic now. You've gone right through it, but you know, yeah. I remember you were posting stuff while you were in hospital.
come out from the theatre, and I'm like, well, I'll do a live. I just had my boob off. But you know, it was at least it was the lefty.
Oh Jesus Christ! How long was you in?
Well, I went in on the Friday. I had the operation on the Saturday. I was supposed to come out on the Monday or Tuesday. Monday, I was supposed to come out. And then when she pulled the drain out, she caused a bleed. So I was bleeding into the, well, I was all stitched up. There's like stitches across here, and it was just getting bigger and bigger. I was like, oh shit. I was getting ready to go home. They had to rush me back down to theatre to drain all the blood out because she'd caused a bleed when she pulled the drain out. So they had to put another drain in. So I had them in a bit longer, but it was only a few weeks. It was only a matter of a few weeks. You know what I mean? I've not had any chemo or nothing like that, so I'm all right. But I feel sorry for anybody that does. I said to him at the beginning, I wouldn't be having none of that shit. You're not putting none of that shit in my body. But unfortunately, it wasn't, you know, it was just cut it out and get rid, you know. But I kind of wished I'd tried a few other ways first before I had it cut out. But he did say it was quite big. So they had to remove quite a lot. So it wasn't that, you know, some people get part of it removed. It was the whole lot. So that's why I got the muscle from my back brought around the front. which is why my tattoo is now scarred. There's a piece missing. But yeah, it's yeah, that was the topping, wasn't it? It was like, after all everything, and then you get locked down and everything else, and it's like.
Well, Kenneth's on it here. You have had a bad life, Sharon. Look, medical negligence. What else have you had done to you, Sharon? Fucking hell, get it out here now while we're on this stream. Let the world know. All right.
Lessons and blessings. And do you know, that was what I was going to mention as well before about cases for the rape cases and things. Going back to the lady I was talking to on the phone earlier, who's very brave, and I'm rooting for her 100% because she's got some ammunition in those guns of hers, and she's going to use them against them. So yeah, I'm looking forward to that shit show. But when I went, this kind of all started, so leading to me losing my job from me reporting something that was historical grooming from a family member. And I said to people what they did when I asked the police why they were taking it to court, because it didn't make sense, because there was no, it's in those cases there's no, they go on the evidence, and there wasn't any, it was hearsay in their terms. So, but then I find out there's a pot of money solely for historical cases. So I think they just all put their hands in that pot, used my case to get a share of it. Because what she did, she put me in a room before I was due to go into court. She put me in a room and she faced me out to the window, and he came and stood outside of the window staring in at me just before I was due to go into court, the perpetrator. And that was orchestrated because she moved me deliberately so I would be sitting there facing out and he would stand. And I think that was to try and intimidate or something. And so little things like that build a bigger picture. It's like little pieces to the jigsaw, and you see what they do and you see how they operate. And it, for me, I see the benefit in all of those things. As much as it's shit when it happens, and it's not nice to go through things. However, what you learn from it is invaluable in terms of the people that come to me now with things, with their stories, and I think, oh God, that's horrendous. It's far worse than my story. However, the experiences, I've had so many experiences of, I don't know, it's, I guess, where there's been injustice, or I've experienced the brunt of something, just to get enough of an idea about it. And therefore I'm useful to other people because I can say, well, this was my experience. And it's not to talk about me and all this back to me sort of thing. It's more, it keeps it real. It's true. And it's like, if you've experienced this, it's not that you know how the person feels. It's, you can understand that situations like that bring up emotions, and when you've found a way of getting past that and coming out the other side, those are the things that are valuable to the other people that are going through it. So you kind of,
there you go,
pass that along the line.
You kind of apologized about talking about yourself there, and what I would say is that it's all about yourself, because in order to be able to help people, you have to have that level of understanding of yourself and what is actually going on around you and other individuals. But that can only start with yourself though, can't it? So as much as you're making it about yourself, I'll talk about me, because I feel the same way. When you said that, I think, man, you know, sometimes when you're talking, I'll then go, oh, well, this happened to me, this happened to me. And I'm not trying to deflect from you. I'm just trying to probably agree and bolster your point,
yeah.
But use it from mine. And I think that's probably one of the most honest ways that anyone can be on a platform. There's no point in me coming here and going, oh, yeah, I totally understand when I've never been through it. But if I can understand it because of a personal experience I can draw on, then that can nudge me to that element of understanding where you're at. And this is the activism thing again. Sorry to keep swinging it back, but this is why I love this, because there's so many different ways from the journey. Meeting people, go to marches, having that level of understanding when you're looking and speaking to them.
Had that not happened to me, had I not reported what I reported in December 2016, and then in the May 2017, I get told that it's going to court, And then I hear about a girl in Sunderland who had been raped by 3 guys, I think it was, badly beaten. She went straight down to the police station. The CPS dropped it. So that was the first demo I went to, because it was like, how can this girl not get justice? How can they not take this to court when they're taking mine to court? It doesn't make sense to me. And that's why I ended up going to that demonstration. And I know a lot of people now are going to demos because of the freedom issue, but back then it was me trying to understand how this whole process worked and why this girl wasn't getting justice. Me then talking to Peter Sweden, other people that were there talking about the grooming and everything else, which obviously is relevant as well. And me hearing things that horrified me. I was like, what? We don't even know this is going on. But I was there because I was hearing things, and and I said to Peter, I've got daughters. I'm worried about my daughter's safety. You know, they can't even go for a night out in Middlesbrough and get a taxi without being on their guard. You know, it shouldn't be like that. All the stuff with the takeaways was coming out about the girls getting abused and everything else. So it was all of this information coming at me that kind of tied in with my own experiences in a small way. But it was important to find out what was going on, because if anything happened to my daughters, I'd want them to get justice. This was just a young girl, you know, so I didn't think there was anything wrong with going to that demo. What I said on that video, because of what was being said to me at the time, they used against me. The things that I shared about what was going on, they used against me. But because of that, what happened in Manchester, I got asked to join that group, Justice for Women and Children. And that was simply because I was obviously seen as more of a gobshite, and I could stand there and speak with a microphone, even though I was shaking like crazy. But I wanted to help out, and you have to feel the fear and do it anyway sometimes. So me reading out letters and getting involved that way, and then you came to our demos, and we had a few chats and a few interviews that were great, and so, you know, you have the experience of counter demos. I don't think there's so much of that now with all of this, apart from you get trashed in the media and you know, deemed anti-vaxxers or whatever it is. But they will throw a tag at you. They were calling me racist, yet the guy that was opposing us, he got locked up for stalking some girl. Do you know what I mean? So these are the sort of people that want to shut you up, because they're all doing things that they shouldn't be doing in a lot of cases, or they're involved, or they know of people that are, and they keep it. So they go against you because you're speaking out. But what I would say to anybody is, don't let that stop you. Keep speaking out. I've proved that you can talk about what's happened to you, and you can still get justice at the end of it. You know, it's worth, if you've got the evidence there, if you can stand in your truth and know that you are the victim, not the victim, but you are the injured party in all of that, and you've stood and you've not done anything to warrant how you've been treated or not getting the justice you deserve, then you should stand up. You know, you should stand your ground, and you should gather as many supports around you. I mean, when I was coming towards my tribunal for work, because obviously that led to me getting sacked, from going to that demo in June and getting suspended in the August, that was 15 years career down the tubes, because I stood up for what I believed in, and I wouldn't do anything different. I'd do it all, you know, might not lose my plot so much, but at the end of the day, I was going live, and I was going, because people started coming to me about the justice, about the forced adoption stuff. So I'm saying, everybody that's being wronged by social services, I've got my work tribunal, come outside and protest. Use that opportunity when you've got them in there to protest and fight your corner. And so that went against me. I was trying to drum up, like, you know, people to come outside the courthouse, and I didn't go through with it. For the reasons I didn't go through with it was because they were, as they do with these parents, they write a narrative, and then as I can do with this evidence from my case, because it's been to court, they would have used it, manipulated it to discredit me in whatever way possible, as BBC Two Newsnight tried to do. 6 months after we start out on the road, like doing demos, They're doing a programme about us. I mean, that's unheard of, isn't it? You've got to have your card marked by somebody for that to happen, surely.
There was a lot of crazy things going on back then, right? When I look at it now. The narrative, or going against that part of the narrative, must have been seen, it must have been deemed a severe threat. Just like now, the same is now, probably the same again with it being activist-based, looking at the different marches, but seeing the same things happen, the same techniques, you know what I mean? I'll never forget, it's like product placement, you know, with adverts. If you're not truly looking, you won't see it. But at that time, I remember that there was a train of adverts that were coming out, along with the counter argument about talking about grooming, about talking about terrorism. They were trying to imply that anyone that was doing that was Islamophobic, just straight off the bat. You just say Muslims. Now, there was people with degrees of feelings on that topic. I, on the other hand, love people, but I hate people who don't do the right thing. You know, I don't care what colour they are. So that don't make me Islamophobic. You know, I don't like Jimmy Savile. What does that make me? You know, it's just the spirit, the angle within the spirit that I go against. So at that time, I'll never forget, there was adverts coming out where they were placing, and I'll say it purposely, they were placing Muslim people within adverts. And it was becoming more and more prominent at the time to coexist with that timeline. Because I remember seeing it and going, oh, right. And I've said this to the wife, where the media now have shot themselves in the foot, because instead of them actually being honest in showing diversity within an advert now, they're clearly showing what the narrative is, because they're disproportionately showing people in adverts that only represent a small number of the population. And that doesn't make any sense. I get why you possibly might be doing it, but there's possibly more of a spike. So I noticed it to the point where several months after, they don't do it anymore. And I think this runs in line. This is where, when you're an activist, you've got to realise the powers that are in front of you and what you're fighting against. So when you've got TV adverts that will now, we've had it with Black Lives Matter. You know what I mean? We've got to push this message in the adverts more. Just push the advert. Even that's bad enough, because you're brainwashing people into commercialisation or whatever. But then when you're putting a political spin on it and then saying to people with doublespeak, we're only showing diversity, but then it doesn't represent the true demography of the country. So this is what the psychological tools that you see going on and on and on. You know what I mean? And when you can see that, I think the point that you're making is paramount. Stay strong and stay true to your point. Don't lose thread of your point, because there could have been many ways where I was called an Uncle Tom when I first got into this. Now, the connotation from that is that I hate black people and I'm the slave master because I'm mulatto. So that means I've got the slave master's blood in me. So that means I'm going against my own race. And at the first chance I get, I'm going to fuck you all over. That is the connotation, where nothing could be further from the truth. I'll just speak out on both sides. I'll see it and I'll say it. Now that's moved now, because they can't utilise that argument. You know what I mean? But however, the connotation still is that I'm not invited back in that camp, as in we couldn't go on Good Morning Britain now and start talking about our opinions, even if they prefer not to show us. But I think because we've recoiled back to a sense of common sense, let's say, because initially we was riding a wave, we've combated the narrative. So
there was a number of people. I think there was a number of people in the movement who were pushing the agenda, pushing the narrative towards that.
Yeah.
Do you know? So and I fell into that trap, which, you know, you become, they make it all about one group of people, and you just take a step back, you go, wait a minute, there's this going on and this going on and this going on, and it's always been going on. It's not just about that. If you're going to care about children and the safety of children and the safety of women and the safety of everybody, really, then you've got to care about everybody. And it's about the character, not the skin colour. So if you're doing the right thing, who can knock you for that? And you know, if it's the universal laws, you know, go about your business, do whatever you want, as long as you're not hurting anybody else or not interfering with anybody else's freedom to choose what they do, as long as they're not interfering with anybody else's life in a negative way. That's how it should be. People should mind their own businesses and make their life the best that they can make. Like Jordan Peterson says, improve your life by 1% every day.
Be the best person you can be. Be the best person you can be. You know, and that's all you can do, and it starts with you, and you work your way out. And I mean, we're going to have to probably wrap it up pretty shortly, but I've enjoyed this.
Embrace your dark side.
Say again.
Embrace your dark side. We know we've got one. I could, if my kids were in danger, my dark side would be out in full throttle, and I know it's there, and I know what I'm capable of, or I believe what I would be capable of if in that situation, in extreme circumstances. However, most of the time I'm just peace, love, and light. But there's just that little bit of go fuck yourself. So yeah, it's we've got to have our sword and our shield as well as our wings, because it doesn't work otherwise. You're not going to help anybody, because you're going to run for the hills as soon as anything comes up that's oppressive or challenging. Whereas if you can stand there.
Sharon, I'll just fill you in. I'm actually streaming from the top of that said hill that I've just run to, just between me and you, like, you know what I mean? I liked it. No, but I get what you're saying. I you know, it's having the courage, and this is where it might go back to that police officer. What courage has he got? You know what I mean? If he can go around treating women like that, how can he hold his head up as a true member of society? You know what I mean? And I think Rob said it before, or someone said it. I'm naive, because I expect people to have fucking morals and scruples. And you know what you said there, yeah, you know, you're basically, you're a nice guy, but don't fuck with me, you know what I mean? Don't fuck with what I all did, is you'll see a different person. And I think that's honourable for anyone. You know what I mean? We all should have that at heart, but the libertarian probably pulls out of you more than the side that wants to control people and dominate people. You know what I mean? We all, what you were saying before, really comes under the guise of being libertarian. You know what I mean? No curtailment of freedom of action and thought. That is the literal definition of libertarian. So being the activist, whatever you've got on, whatever they want to categorize you as for being on that, it now is abundantly clear that you've not mellowed. You know, you've not come in as a goose stepper and then just the goose stepping's gone short and short as the years go on, and now you're just walking normally. It don't work like that. It kind of goes the other way, doesn't it? You start walking normally, and then before you know it, you know, people are radicalized. You don't de-radicalize in a movement like this. So it shows where you were at in the bleeding beginning, and it shows how wrong it was, and it shows that, you know what, same again, with the strength that you've got to get a stick through all this, getting punched up off police officers. Man, I've only been called a coconut Uncle Tom. Names, they can call me what they bleeding want. No police officers ever put their hand on me. You know what I mean? And I can't say I ever want that to happen either, you know? And I think that's a hard pill. That is a hard pill to take, all that. But I get what you're saying. Lessons and blessings and all that stuff.
Yes.
If you were to finish this off today, at this point, this timeline where we're currently at, one within you as an individual and two within you as an activism, with this clip that I've just shown you, where would you be at in terms of lessons and blessings? Where would you say you were roughly at that point?
What, back then or now from that?
When he slammed the door and said, "We're going to do it for 2 times assault and we're in it together, all right?" One of them.
Well, I didn't actually hear him saying that because he shut the door and then he opened it again. I was just glad that I got my phone down the front of my trousers. When I got to the police station, obviously I'm thinking, oh shit, what's going to happen? I was worried about not getting my train home. But when they kind of pointed me to the direction of the tram lines after they took me out the police station, there was a guy there that he could obviously see I was distressed and I didn't have a clue what I was supposed to be doing. I was just like, oh. And I didn't know where this metro were going to or whatever. And so he helped me get back to the station. So that was nice because I had somebody to talk to. So that was a blessing because he didn't need to. I didn't know the guy. Do you know what I mean? He was really kind. And so he got me back to the station. And yeah, I kind of, the blessing was getting on that train. The lesson is stand your ground.
It didn't deter you.
Sorry?
It didn't deter you.
Well, I came back 2 weeks later, didn't I?
You know what I mean? A lot of people go, fuck this marching thing. I'm not, you're a woman and, you took a big leap of faith, let's face it, because, today's society and all that. You're coming down meeting a load of wrong-uns, apparently. A Coconut and Uncle Tom and whoever else was there. I mean, man, we had the worst branding known. So it's for you to go through all that and still think, you know what? My belief in what I think is right is still justifiable, where I'll stand at the next march. And you know what?
Do you know what, though?
On the next march.
When I say about being in touch with your dark side, I'm really stubborn. So forgiveness has to come into it because that's the hook you let yourself off of when you forgive people's misgivings, because you're not carrying it around then. You're not carrying that bitterness and resentment towards that person for something that they've done. You've let it go. But also my stubbornness in when I forgive people from my past, when I was on my journey as quite a new parent, I guess my kids were 5 and 1 at the time. I came to the decision then. I started studying to be a better parent because I was realizing that I hadn't had the greatest of teachers. There was too much going on domestic violence to be positive. But anyway, so I had to teach. I read a lot to understand everything, to understand myself, to understand what kids need, to understand why we behave the way we do when we've been treated in a certain way and how that affects our emotions and attachments and all of those sort of things. So educating yourself is key, I think, to understanding a lot of things. But yeah, it's just that stubbornness to go, I am not letting you affect another day of my life. You might have affected me on that day, and you might have affected me for a few days after, and you might have affected me when I had to worry about going to court and everything else. But in between all of that, no, you are not getting a piece of my life, and you're not going to bring me down. So that stubbornness, I guess, is what gets you through, because you're like, no, you're a low life for doing what you've done. And am I going to give you any time of day? Am I going to let you make me feel like any less of a person for what you've done? Not a chance. And you need to take that stand because you have to be proud of yourself first. You've got to love yourself, be proud of yourself. You've got to understand yourself, and you've got to accept both sides of yourself.
Respect yourself. So when someone's chatting to you, you've got to think, well, I don't appreciate you speaking to me like that, because you know what? If I spoke to you like that and you was to say what I'm saying to you now, I would have to concede and go, I apologize. So it's having that respect for yourself, and that will feel, it's not loving yourself. There is a difference, in a vain way, but loving yourself also. But once you start,
it's like people don't take care of themselves. Like one of the analogies today was about if you have I think it's another Jordan Peterson, if you have a dog and it goes to the vets and they give you a prescription for that dog, you'll go and get that prescription and you'll give the medication to the dog because you care about the dog. A lot of times people get a prescription or they don't go get medical help for themselves. They just, oh, I'll be all right. They forget that the dog might care if they're all right or not and taking their medication, but they caring more about the dog than they would themselves. And this is where people go wrong. You've got to look after yourself first. And it's not selfish and it's not egotistical. It's how you survive. Because if you aren't that person that we need holes in our buckets to let the stress go away, but we also need things to fill it up, you know. So being the best version of yourself is all you can be, and standing up for other people, those that don't have a voice, those that can't speak out, being that voice for other people when you can do that gives you so much, you know, satisfaction, I guess, in the fact that you're taking part and you I don't know, just
I can understand what you're saying. I mean, same again, let's probably leave it here, but I want to really get into our experience with Mo on the next fortnight. When we went to the hearing, because that's probably...
I love that. That's brilliant. Yes, a lot more light-hearted next time, folks.
Yes,
we could maybe show some... We could maybe show some footage of some of the demos as well, where it's been really positive, because lift people up, show that it's worth it. It's all worth it.
Well, I think even though this might have come across, oh geez, they're on about this, you know, horrible event. Why are they doing it? We've got to look at where we're at. This is why I try and show the dark, because look, you're smiling here. You've got strength. You've just articulated why. You know what? I'm not letting this shit get me down. You're kind of talking on more of a resonance, as if to say, you're giving me low vibration. I'm not staying in that vibration. I'm elevating above it. If you want to do that, I'll rise. You know, and it's not easy. I think, who was it? It was Rob, I think, on a comment. This one, I was going to end with this. Come back 2 weeks later, like something wiser. I mean, personally, that really talks about the whole point that we're on about. In terms of whatever your experiences is in life, could have had a bad day, a bad year, a bad month, whatever. You come back more positive, analysing, understanding. Take the bits from it you can that will make you a better individual. The bits that are negative, they were probably there for a reason to be learned and get something draw from it, but don't dwell on it, because then that will be counterproductive to what you want to actually do. So in other words, you could actually say there's very little shit that happens in your life that's not something you can learn from, but there's plenty of horrible things that would happen to an individual that never needs to happen, that I can't say you need to have that go through your life to learn from it. You know what I mean? Even if people as survivors may learn from an experience that's made them a survivor, I could never say that. We all have our own personal fucking journey, and I think we just pull in what we've got, and I think that really encapsulates what we're trying to say. But we've done it over this 4-year period with that event and covering numerous marches. He's just saying, right, shut up now, get off the stream, come back 2 weeks later and put a smile on your face. I think, is that what Rob was saying there?
Yes. Well, look, I think he's on about Manchester, isn't he, when I went back 2 weeks after?
Yes. Yeah, exactly. So, no, it's having that determination.
And I remember saying to you then, when we were going under the underpass, I remember saying, we need more women on the streets. Come on, women, you're really safe. And it's like 2 weeks before I was beaten up and put in a van. But I'm like, you're really safe with these guys.
Rob gets all Napoleonic, and then look, he tries to smooth me. Phil, you're always looking gorgeous, Obs, before you're offended. Mate, the fact that you're writing that means that I'm offended, because I now know your motives behind writing that, Rob. I know you, mate. You were the one that was pulling out the cane the last time me and Shaz were here. Remember that, Shaz?
I know.
You know what I mean? Getting whipped about. Great Brit don't do that, Rob. Great Brit has never shown me the cave. Just saying that. But no, honestly, we've got to give a big support to all the guys in the background out there. Great Brit.
Absolutely,
Rob,
yeah, definitely.
Lee. I'm sure there's many more that I'm unaware of that play a vital role. And as you can see with this little ticker that's going along the bottom, this is all courtesy of this channel. We've got to support this channel. Katie Jane Swallow, childrensmatter.news. The work that she's done to provide content beneficial for, let's say it, tens of thousands of people over the years that she's been on. We've got to look at it like that. You know what I mean? She never asked for anything off anybody, you know, but every now and then we'll all get in a little bit of, you know, trouble or a little bit of a situation where we feel we might need a little bit of a helping hand. So for me, Sharon, Rob, Great Britain, all the others, we were like, yeah, definitely. If nothing else, to recognise, one, what Katie, what a diamond girl she is, and two, what the channel all represents. So if anyone can chip in, there's a link down below, because she's going through some crazy litigious crap at the moment that she doesn't deserve, and any bit of help and support in any way would be beneficial.
And I got a call off, I got an email off AMW, you know, Marie. She'd had a mother and daughter come to her. Her daughter was pregnant. She'd spent some time on the street, and I think they were plotting to take the baby when it's born. So she wanted some contacts, you know, for legal advice and stuff. So through this channel, obviously, with people getting in touch with us, and the people that are helping Katie Jane and other people that I've now come across, we can pass information on to other people that might be beneficial to them, save them going through all of this trauma, and keep their children, you know. So yeah, it is worthwhile.
It all helps because it's a support network. You know, you might not be able to change the world, but knowing, I mean, same again, the survivor comes from a position of isolation because something's happened to them. They're on their own. No one wants to believe them. The court may not believe them, the police, or whatever, or even talking about it. They're still on their own. They've been violated, whether they be male or female. That is a very isolated role. So to have someone to say, I'll listen to you, you know, I'll do what you can, you know, we'll raise this, we'll raise that awareness. That is so empowering in a world that we're in. And just to answer Rob's question before.
And to me, it's...
Savulophobe is a thing, Rob. It is a thing.
Where's my thong, dude?
Yeah,
really,
well,
Rob?
I've got a thong for him. I've given him a thong. I've just not managed to post it off to him yet. But it's a little black tie thong because Rob expressed a desire for mincing down and round the area of the Isle of Man in his thong. So it's only right and proper, being a good friend that I am, that I've got him a thong to do it. You know what I mean? So
brilliant.
Yeah,
I look forward to that footage.
You know, we can imagine. I'm going to leave people with this mental picture. Imagine an easel there, Rob with his long locks on his head and on his chin, with nothing on but a dinner jacket, tongue to tongue, doing his painting. I'm going to leave that thought with you, because I'm going. Stop.
And my last thought is, no judgment here, just curiosity.
Well, he's getting a defensive. Hang on, this ain't true. Well, I've embellished it, mate. You're a thong stepper, mate. That's all. You know, you're not any of them things, but you know me. If I take a mile, then I'm going to take 10 miles out of this argument. So as far as I'm concerned, mate, you've got a fetish for running down round the Isle of Man with thongs on and doing paintings in thongs. And mate, sorry, Rob, but if the thong fits, wear it. Sorry, I better shut up. Oh God! Look, Great Britain. I'll do him a Children's Matter thong for him. I think that's a damn good idea. That.
Yeah.
You could get the logo put on the front. Now, what do you think of that? We could get that put on the front there, Sharon. Look, you see that logo there? Let me see if I can just.
Yeah.
You know, any recommendations? You reckon? Rob, it's suited. It looks so good. Messing around, and he's going to tell me to do one in a minute. We are going to have to raise a lot of money for Children's Matter for this to happen. Look at it.
Also, he's put a price tag on it now.
Well, there you go. So that means
it can be bought.
He's up for it, innit? He's up for it. Right, guys. I think at this point, Sharon, should we scrap the idea of Rob donating the painting? Let's replace it. How much are you prepared to pay to have me to go to the Isle of Man to film Rob marching up and down the Isle of Man with his tongue on? I'll pay for my own journey. I'm just on about how much would you pay? Because I've got a feeling that'll raise more money than the painting, Rob.
It's lovely, the Isle of Man.
You know, but I won't be going for that. There'd be a thong show that I'd be going for, Sharon. It's nothing to do with the island. You know what I mean? Look, he's on about 10 grand. 10 grand and it's a deal. So if we can raise £10,000, Sharon, Rob.
A thongathon, eh?
Thongathon. A thongathon. I think it's a go, you know. I think it. I'm feeling scared now. Mate, 10 grand.
Might catch on. Who knows?
Screenshot this. Yeah, you've got all the information here. You've got me and Sharon on the stream. You've got the reason why we're here because we're trying to donate to Katie. Yeah, she really needs our help. Rob's obviously trying to help, and he's just said, "Oh look, 10 grand and it's a deal." So 10p more like buddy. Look at that. Oh, 10p's, mate. If we all throw 10p in, we're going to reach that 10 grand and a penny or 10 grand and 10p very quickly. In fact, oh, no, man. All the time to me. Oh, yeah, here we go. Here we go. There you go. There you go, Rob. Come on, mate. We're getting closer.
That's the first pound in the bucket.
First pound, definitely. So any last words, Sharon, anyway, before we get going? It's great to chat to you as always, and we will be back 2 weeks from now.
Yes. I look forward to that. And just thanks everybody for watching and listening. And I hope if anybody has got any grievances that you want to air to us, I'm always ready to listen. So yeah. Don't suffer in silence.
Yeah.
Fang along ding dong.
Yeah, well, we're all here, aren't we? And that's a great way of looking at it, you know. And you've kind of you've shown that to people. You're an inspiration, Sharon. You know what I mean? Try to show everything that you've gone through. And, well, we all don't talk about the things. We just get on with it, and it's not for us to go, "Oh, I've been through this." But looking at it, and people have said it here as well. You know what I mean? They'll get a lot of strength, a lot of warmth from that. So that's a good thing, and it's good that you're in a good place, even though, you know. So good to actually have this chat. Can't wait for the next one.
Yeah.
And big thank you to everyone that's tuned in. You're watching this retrospectively. Nice one. Please like and share. childrensmatter.news. Very important. Keep this channel going. Big thanks to Katie and everyone involved. And I will end with this. TK Media asked a question before about what channel was on. When it comes to YouTube, I'm only doing streams on this channel at the moment, just with Sharon. I've got no desire to upload any more videos on YouTube. However, I was involved in a musical DJ stream last night, which will be happening every 2 weeks. So it will be happening 2 weeks from yesterday. So it always works out that I do the DJ stream on the Saturday, and I'm talking to our Sharon on the Sunday. And I was up till 5 doing it. So if anyone is interested, I've got an account, the Manic Manx, on Mixcloud. You can find us on there. Follow us. You'll get a notification of when we're doing a stream. Multiple DJs, all Mancunian, all with a desire to play some good funky music, go back to some nostalgic good times in Manchester, but away from all the toxification of all the slut drops and all the shit that's within the modern day music as well. So it's getting a bit of both worlds, really. And also there's a BitChute channel which will show the stream retrospectively. So, i.e., if you can't watch that stream on a Saturday, but you want to watch it on the Sunday, you won't be able to watch it on Mixcloud because it won't keep it on there. But what I will do is then put it on my BitChute channel, which is Manic Manx BitChute, which, if you're still there and interested, then there is the BitChute account, the channel, Manic Manx. Subscribe to it. There's a video going to be uploaded, part of the stream that happened yesterday, and more will follow in the next few days. And like I say, that will be the permanent home for the streams moving forward. Still going to be doing other stuff. I'm going to be still working with Katie, Sharon, and all the other guys here. Still going to be doing stuff with the ladies in Australia. But at the moment, I just want to get this off the ground so I know what I'm doing. It's, you know what I mean? Setting things up is hard, isn't it? Letting people
music
know.
feeds the soul, Phil. Music feeds the soul, and I think that there's no better way to be in the moment than dancing to some music.
Without a doubt, feeling it going through your veins, and it's a very personal thing as well, Sharon. Everyone will have their own interpretation on a tune, and it's funny because Rob and I and Janine were talking, although it was more Janine and I, but the idea is trying to come at doing some kind of streams, but coming from a position of being a creative, and how being creative gets us through all the crap in life, particularly for me with the lockdown, how music helped me and this, that and the other. So that's probably another angle as well. You know, keeping things light, keeping it risen, and utilising other things in your life to take you from the woes. So as much as you're getting red pill and you're getting discernment and you're feeling crap because you just spoke about or spoke to someone who's told you a horrible story, you've got to be able to offset that with something. You can't just sit there, because that's not going to be good for anyone. You've got, and don't feel guilty because then you want to go and have a laugh, or you want to go and do a hobby, which means that you don't want anyone around you. Don't feel guilty because it's all an internal thing. It's very personal, you know? So yes. Shut up, Phil. Sharon, it's been a pleasure, and I'll see you on the next.
Been brilliant talking to you, Phil. Love talking to you.
You too. You stay safe, stay positive, stay smiling, and we will see each other 2 weeks from today, no doubt. Yeah.
Yeah.
Excellent.
Peace, love, and light, everybody.
Nice one, Sharon. You're a star. You're amazing. You take care. Excellent. Wow, wow, wow. Right. Sorry for rambling on, guys, but so it pissed me off. And that's where I'm at now. You know what I mean? Maybe there was a time where I'd walk around the houses, do a Terry Wogan, digress. No, I'll get straight, go council estate, get in the DeLorean, tell you getting pissed off. You know what I mean? But I try and do it in a light manner. So I hope you understand it. I hope you can appreciate it and doing it for the right reasons. So thank you very much for jumping on, guys. Big love to everyone. We'll be back here on childrensmatter.news in the next fortnight with another concluding episode to this whole story. So thank you very much, guys. Thank you, moderators. Love you all, even the pissing haters. Stay blessed. Have a brilliant week, guys. Take care.
I love you. 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 I love you.
Even the pissing haters.
I love you. 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 I love you.